Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Double Trouble Podcast. It has been such a long time, but
It's
we
been
are
a while.
back. We apologize for the delays. There's been a lot going on, a lot of changes happening. Nun's been up to some crazy stuff, and Bunny's Bunny. He always does
Bunny's
crazy
bunny.
stuff. So there's a new thing this time. We're not only going to be on YouTube, but you will find this podcast on Spotify. So that's something that we're very excited about.
Can't
And
wait.
please note that as we're now also joining Spotify, this podcast is expected to be much vulgar, much aggressive, much abusive. So
Yes.
you've been warned. Why don't you
Yep.
start off, None? Let's hit it.
All right. Well, before we get into the whole make big thing, like, subscribe. First things first. Thank you if you're listening to us on the podcast. Thanks for joining us. Lots of stuff going on in December. Going on top five list, video game awards, and let's kind of segue into the video game awards here because I'm a little bit pissed off. I'm not gonna lie on why Elden Ring DLC gets nominated for Game of the Year. Why? I'm perfectly fine. I've actually been lobbying for remasters, remakes, DLC to be in video game awards. I've been lobbying for it, but not for Game of the Year. DLC should not be in Game of the Year. I think it should have its own category, DLC of the Year, because the way that it looks, from my perspective, is you have some really great games on there. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Black Myth Wukong.
Mhm.
There is how do you pronounce that? Baltoro, which I think is like a poker game sort of thing. There's some great games on there. And then here comes this DLC, and I think a lot of people are kind of in agreement. If this DLC wins, there's going to be everyone's going to kind of boycott the video game awards because it should not be on that topic. There's other games that should be there. Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade
Oh, yes.
should be on there. They're not nominated. Instead, we got this DLC, Elden Ring, and I'm not trying to bash Elden Ring, but
Sounds
the
like fun.
I don't like. I'll be honest. I don't like Elden Ring. I played it. It's not my type of game, which is perfectly fine. But it should not. This should not be on Video Game of the Year. And um, I think if Elden Ring DLC wins Game of the Year, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback. What do you think, Bunny?
Well, I agree with you in the sense that why is a DLC nominated for Game of the Year? Because DLC is just a downloadable content, which is a part of a game. It's not a
Right.
full-on game. Whereas, Game of the Year means we're giving it as, the whole game.
Yeah.
So a DLC would be what, a couple of hours,
Give
and
or take. I
yeah.
mean, if you look
So
at the
I just
Witch,
feel
if you look
like
at the hold on, sorry, if you look at the Witcher 3 with the one with Blood and Wine, that was considered a long game, but
mhm.
it was a DLC. Now that I could sort of, I maybe, but
See, I wouldn't, even though it's such a long game, I still wouldn't give it like a because
yeah,
it's still continuing part four or part three, sorry.
right.
Unless it came
So
out as Witcher 4, Blood and Wine, or something like that, then yes, then it's a whole
okay,
entity of itself.
yeah, I get
But
what you're saying.
because
Yeah,
it's a DLC, yes, like you said, you should have made a separate category called DLC of the year, which makes total sense. I'm
and you
all
know what
for that.
and
It
you know what's
actually
funny
motivates
as
developers and all that to make good DLC then, rather than just
right.
throw garbage out.
And what's funny about that is that there's other game awards because VGAs are not the only awards that we're going to have this year and even next year. Other award shows actually did categories of
Mhm.
DLC of the year, and DLC is not being nominated for Game of the Year. So I think it was Golden Joystick Awards actually. They actually had a
Okay.
category as well that said DLC of the year, and I think Elden Ring won that. And
That
again,
makes sense.
not hating on Elden Ring, but it should not be nominated for Game of the Year.
No, not at all.
Not
I completely agree with you on that one, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do agree. Look, we're not saying that it's not a great game and it's
right.
not a great DLC, but it's not qualified to be categorized in a game of its own,
Yeah,
which,
because you pretty
what
much
you're
have
doing
to.
is you're effectively taking that position from worthy, options.
Yeah, like I think there's I think the second or the one of the games is actually Helldivers. I think is nominated, but then you also have No Space Marines 2
Yeah,
nominated. Rise of the Ronin, which I think is a fantastic game. Everyone I've talked to said they just love Rise of the Ronin.
it's a really good game.
Yeah,
But for me, Black Myth Wukong.
yeah. I played it, and I'm going to get hated because not for me. Not it's not a horrible game. Just it reminds me too much of God of War, and I'm not a God of War fan. I'm
Really?
sorry.
I
No,
I absolutely loved it. The
I
game, the graphics, the
and you
story.
know here's the funny thing is that God of War. I love that old I love mythology like that. I absolutely love mythology about Zeus and Hades and all
You
that.
love the fact that he's beating up senseless gods and all that, beating them up to like the
I
bone and
love
skin
that
off them.
stuff. I love mythology like that. Even Chinese mythology, like from Black Myth Wukong. I love that stuff. But the game itself is just not my type of game.
Guys, I apologize on behalf of None. Keep in mind, this is his first time back after a long time, so please excuse him. The drinks in Canada have been pretty strong nowadays.
Well, we got Justin Trudeau as a politician. What do you
There
expect?
you go.
Yeah, a lot of I
But
could go on a whole topic about that. But anyways,
oh
moving
yeah,
on.
well, we would love to have Justin Trudeau come in and on this podcast have his
What
opinion on DLCs.
Yeah, Justin, what's your opinion on DLCs? Well, meanwhile he
But
charged
well,
$500 for DLC.
yeah, why not? You buy the DLC, get a visa for Canada free.
Exactly. Anyways, let's
Oh
move
boy,
on.
imagine if that ever came up, man. That would be like the most successful game. It'd
Oh
break
yeah,
records.
it would be such a and you watch it would be like such a horrible, shitty game that would do it too, right?
No, but it's a shitty game. But imagine at the passport control when you're entering the country, you got to show the copy of the game. Like bought the game. All right, you can enter.
You're right. Yep, go ahead. Yep, come on.
Yep. What? That's not the valid version. I'm sorry, you're deported.
Yeah. Nope, that's the cracked version. Out.
Yeah. But yeah.
But yeah, going back on topic, DLC. I have nothing against DLC. I love DLC, but it should not be
I agree.
to retrospect. Let's put it this way: it would be like renominating Baldur's Gate 3 for this year's award for Game of the Year. I love Baldur's Gate 3. We both do, and they've added a ton of new stuff that
Of course. Oh, they keep adding it.
that can be considered patch worthy or not patch worthy. Sorry, DLC worthy. It'd be the same thing of adding Baldur's Gate 3 into this because they added new stuff. So I don't agree with. So no one's talking about that. Like, oh, let's bring in Baldur's Gate 3 again, right? Because no, Elden Ring. If you love it, great. If you love the DLC, great. Should not be a topic on Game of the Year. All
I
right.
agree. Now, since you hit on Baldur's Gate, we'll talk about that.
Baldur's
Trust
Gate.
me, when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, first and foremost, let's be honest, not many people expected it to be that huge of a success,
No.
but it was.
No.
I'm sure you've played the old Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, all these classic games. And
for
I
sure.
remember when
I
I
still
first
have
tried
them.
Baldur's Gate, when 3 when it was in like in the betas and all that,
Right.
I tried it,
Right.
and I still at that time I said this game is amazing, and if they work on it with wholeheartedly and not just trying to think of it as a cash grab, this can be a huge thing. And I said that. And when that game got released, man, I was so proud of them.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a company that's put their heart and soul into the game, and you can see that. And I think
For sure.
that's what a lot of game companies are not doing nowadays. They're not putting the heart and soul into it. They're just
They're
thinking of
not.
it, look, it's an IP. We've made money off it in the past. We'll make money off it right now.
Yeah,
AKA
and
Saints Row, the reboot that came out. I was actually one of those people that was so excited. I was looking forward to that one because I'm a huge Saints Row fan. I love number 1. I love number 2. I played number 3 as well. Number 4, meh, but still, And then the reboot came out, and when the trailer came out, a lot of people, it got trolled, it got hated. But I was still positively hoping to give it a chance. Now, Baldur's Gate 3, that game smashed it out of the park.
It did.
entertainment,
It did.
replay value, game,
Oh
story,
man.
everything was perfect. I call it
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh yeah. There
What I
there isn't too
want
many.
though is
There
I
isn't.
want them to come out with a new Baldur's Gate as well.
Oh, for
By
sure.
all means, take 4 or 5 years because
But there is unfortunately a little bit of problems with that as well because while Larian did have the sort of okay to make Baldur's Gate 3, they don't have Hasbro has pulled it from Larian now, which means that Hasbro is going to be shopping around. Now, don't be surprised if maybe the next Baldur's Gate 3 is a little more action adventure RPG. I wouldn't be
yeah, I
surprised
really
by that.
hope not.
I really hope not either because Baldur's
You
Gate
got a
3,
winning formula.
yeah, when
Don't break it if it's not broken.
I don't even remember how exactly when I bought Baldur's Gate 3. I think it was just a matter of I never paid attention to it. I never watched any of the videos, anything like that. And then I just kind of saw it on PlayStation Store, and I thought, Baldur's Gate 3, I wonder what this is about. And I usually don't look up reviewers. I usually go by gameplay footage or things like that. I kind of didn't want to waste my time doing all that, so I went and checked out a reviewer. And I absolutely loved his review on what he said about the game. He showed gameplay, he showed all the footage, he showed everything. He didn't spoil it, but enough to keep me interested. And I'm like, okay, this looks great. So
Yeah.
then I went a little more deeper, and I bought the game. And I have had a blast with that game. I think last year when it came out, I think I put about 300 hours in that game. From when it came out to the end of the year. And I'm still playing it now because of all the mods. And
Yeah, I
with
mean,
all
like I
these,
said, the replay is amazing in that game.
oh man, and with all these patches now that are coming out, like with the new patch that's coming out with co-op mode, where you and me, man, we're gonna have to play, obviously, and 12 new subclasses.
Jeez.
Like and then there's photo mode and there's other things. Like everyone was saying that when is Swen, the guy who's in charge of Larian, when is he gonna get sick of this game? But he keeps giving us more, and it actually invites new players in who've never played the game. And you know what? Here's the thing: they're putting other companies to shame because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not charging for these patches,
No,
which they
that's the
could.
beauty of it.
They easily could. Everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you the money because we love you."
Given the content and everything that they're putting into these, oh, without a doubt.
Like those new evil endings. Like, good lord, the size of that patch alone was incredible. And very easily, people could have said, no, charge for it. We're fine. We'll pay the extra money. It's no problem. But no, they're like, nope, you paid for the game. You got the game. It's your game. We're going to add more stuff to you, though, because it is technically your game. And I love Lorian's philosophy on that because they pretty much turned, to a degree, into CD Projekt Red. They had the game, and I think we can all kind of agree the third part of the game did have issues. I don't think it was perfect. It did have some issues. They patched it and patched it and patched it and fixed it and added more and more and more and more. All this stuff is free. Now, if you look at Cyberpunk, that game was a mess when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
And they patched it and patched it and patched it and patched it. They changed a whole bunch of stuff. They added a whole bunch of new stuff. And to me, that's how a video game company should be doing their games. It's one thing, like you send out a game and it's like, okay, it needs work. We all know that. And then you patch it, but you add new stuff to it. You retain player fan base.
Of course.
You're not alienating your fans. Now, Cyberpunk came out with that new DLC, which is cool. But even before that, they still patched in a chunk of work, like a good chunk of work. Larian Studios is
I think
patching
a
in more.
big. I think I don't know why. I personally feel that this technically started from No Man's Sky.
Yes.
When that game
Yes.
came out, oh my god, it was it was killed.
It
It was
it was
literally reduced to
destroyed.
death. People hated it. It was negative. And then guess what? What I respect the game developers, they didn't give up. They said, "Hey,
No.
we have a vision. We need to fix that vision."
Yes.
They did it. They fixed it, and guess what? It became such an amazing game.
They
People
knew
went from hating it to absolutely loving it.
they knew that they kind of screwed up a little bit when the game
Yeah.
was released and it didn't get the feedback that they wanted. It made promises they couldn't keep. Then they patched it and fixed it, all with free patches, all with free names, all with free DLC. And now it's probably one of the best space adventures out there.
Oh,
I would almost put it I don't want to say right on tier with Mass Effect, but it is up there. It's definitely better than Starfield. How do you screw that up? How? Just
I have
how?
no idea. Oh, actually, I do. Star Citizen.
All right, well, let's move on to the next topic. Is actually a joint topic that we're going to be talking about, and it's our friends over here where I actually live in Edmonton. BioWare. Good old, wonderful, fantastic BioWare. And of course, EA. Let's talk about Dragon Age Veilguard. Now, Bunny, have you played it?
I played it.
What do you think?
I actually liked it.
So do I. I actually have got about 180 hours on the game
I don't know
so
how many
far.
hours I've gotten into it, but I actually like it because it's a fun. It's like I don't know. The graphics kind of excited me. Like it was fun to play.
Yeah. So would you consider it hypothetically a Dragon Age game, or would you consider it taken off from Dragon Age and
No,
just
no, I
being
would consider it a Dragon Age game.
okay? Because here's the problem that's actually coming out with a lot of unfortunately people on Facebook and YouTube and all this. So people are review bombing the hell out of this game, like
Okay.
massively, like 0 out of 10, 1 out of 10. And you know what some of these comments are? They don't attack the gameplay, they don't attack the characters, they don't talk story, they don't talk anything. Majority of these comments, all it is woke, 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 woke. That's it. I read comments that were just like that. This is the wokest game of the year. That's it. That's all I have read. This game is getting massively review bombed. Now,
I'm sure
there.
Disney got happy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whoa,
And now
whoa,
there.
we need to make a film about this.
Now I'm sure there's. We don't know the score on how many games it's sold, or how many copies it's sold, or how good it is, or how well sales are. But there has been some discussion that the reason the game did not get nominated for Game of the Year is actually because of these review bombs. Now, I'm not 100% sure of that. Sounds a bit far-fetched, in my opinion, because the thing is, gaming journalists choose, like the panel chooses which games they're going to nominate for Game of the Year and what awards. So, and most of these panelists, like IGN, GameSpot, all these other places, are giving the game high score.
Hmm.
So, I don't believe that the reason why the game never got nominated. That was one thing that was floating around. But the thing is that I'm really having an issue with and having really a bunch of a problem with is that people are hating on the game who have never friggin' played the damn game. Like,
Let's get into this review bombing scenario for just a second, all right?
all right,
Look, first and foremost, honest opinion, honest reviews is always welcomed. If you didn't like the
oh,
game genuinely,
that's
that is
fair.
well appreciated because you're
That's
giving an
fair.
insight why you didn't like it.
Yeah, that's
But
fair. Like,
just
I
because
mean,
you're joining this stupid ass trend, which makes no sense, makes you look like an idiot, dumb idiot, and I don't care if you get offended. I just don't care. Let's be honest.
yeah,
Right? I don't care. I mean, you're more than welcome to talk to me about my opinions, but as long as you have a healthy discussion, as long as you have a valid reason, and not just doing it
right.
because hey, it's you know what, it's a trend going on. We need to jump on this hype train of review bombing. No,
Yeah,
guys, come on. If
yeah,
something is wrong, say wrong. If something isn't wrong, don't just say wrong just because you feel like you're looking cool. You're not.
no,
Nowadays, more and more people are starting to wake up from this garbage and they're calling you out on it. And have a look at people's, I'd say celebrities, Instagrams, and all that. There's so many people that, say one negative thing and they get hit by so many
oh
negative comments because
man,
people
yeah,
are. I think we're now moving away from where we're trying to mature and develop,
yeah,
where we're trying to
and
understand that wrong is wrong.
yeah,
And
and these people, unfortunately, they're not getting the concept of that. They
yeah,
just figure. Now, listen, like I said before, like Bunny said before, if you don't like the game, that's fair.
yeah,
If you tried the demo and you're like, this ain't for me, I don't like the characters, I don't like the story, I don't like da da da. Fair,
that's an
fair,
honest review.
right. I personally think myself, this is not a 10 out of 10 game. Not even close. I don't think it's a 9. I don't think it's an 8. I think it's about a 7. It's
I think I
good.
agree, 7 to 7.5 because I enjoyed it, but it's not like a wow game,
Yeah.
groundbreaking game. But I
I
enjoyed it.
right. I spent a lot of time with it, and I think it's a good game. It's not a fantastic game. It's not a great game. It's a good game. It has flaws. It has issues. My
Hmm.
review for that is going to be coming up on my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. You have people who are constantly talking about the sales. There's no numbers of sales. They're saying, "Oh, the game flopped," when it actually hasn't, because it
I
was
think it's
actually,
done quite well.
yeah, it actually was the number one Steam game for EA and BioWare. Like it beat, I think, the last Star Wars game. It's so it did very well that way. People are also saying that BioWare's done. BioWare, if BioWare survived Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, they're not done. Everyone's
Hey,
like,
hey, hey, that's my topic.
okay, but anyways, you know what I'm saying? That there is just so much of this kind of like no one really knows how well the game actually is doing. But if you look at Steam reviews, you look at PlayStation reviews, you look at Xbox reviews, the game is like really good.
Hmm.
PlayStation, for example, has got about 10,000 players, and it's about a 4.5 out of 5 rating. Xbox, I think, is same system, has got 4.5 out of 2.2. Steam reviews have got about 23,000 reviews, and it's a 71% positive. So the game is not bad. The game is not bombing like people think. Now, I don't think it's going to sell like massive amounts, like 30, 40 million copies. And that's another topic as well, because people are saying, well, Farming Simulator sold this much. Who gives a shit? Like, seriously, pardon my language, but this is not a comparison between Dragon Age versus Farming Simulator, or Dragon Age versus Baldur's Gate 3, or Dragon Age versus Mass. That's not it. It's a matter of how well is the game doing.
Yep.
I don't give a, like, again, sorry for the language. We're buffing up here for the podcast.
I did say it's going to be vulgar and it's going to be aggressive.
I don't give a flying shit about friggin' Farming Simulator and how well it's doing when it comes to Baldur's Gate Veilguard. I'm not playing Baldur's Gate Veilguard thinking, gee, I wonder how well Farming Simulator's doing. I don't care. It's like if I'm playing Farming Simulator, I'm not sitting there going, I wonder how well Dragon Age Veilguard's doing.
They're two
So
separate games,
they're two separate games, two separate styles, two separate companies, two
genres,
separate
two separate, literally
everything.
separate completely.
It's like even Baldur's Gate 3 and Veilguard. Two very separate. And here's one of the coolest things that I found. One of the developers of Baldur's Gate 3 played Dragon Age Veilguard. And he
Okay,
absolutely loves the game. Absolutely just loves it. Think it's one of the best action RPG games he's played.
nice.
Now that's from a developer yeah. And that's the thing. We shouldn't be bashing these games that we've never played. If you don't legitimately like it, that's fair.
Yeah.
But if you're one of these people that are going woke, 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 and you've never played it, you have no right to say anything about it. But
I agree with you, but now to just jump in. Well, look, while we're talking about BioWare, let's also talk about something negative. Because you
uh,
can't really have a podcast and not talk negative because this ain't the hunky
well,
dory.
BioWare is
This is the
positive
double
and
trouble.
negative.
So BioWare, once considered the one of the most solid gaming company, couldn't do wrong. Star Wars, the Old Republic, Jade Empire, so on and on
Mass
and on.
Effect, all that. Yeah.
Hit Mass Effect, huge hits, couldn't give a flop. What went wrong? I mean, besides EA,
Well, there is the discussion of either Anthem or Andromeda.
so
It
I feel
can.
like BioWare is no longer BioWare. It's just EA
Okay.
that's
I see
taken
what you.
over and they're making all the decisions. And
Okay.
BioWare, because they're stuck in this, merger or whatever you want to call it, are just obeying, because,
Well, it's not so much a merger. EA bought BioWare.
well, yeah. And it's just, think of it like this. When you play, I actually played Mass Effect, the remastered version recently, and
Right.
I just remembered how amazing that game was,
Oh,
even
for
when it first
sure.
came out.
Yep.
One, two, three, they were all amazing. Like the story, the whole, the build up, your
The
choices.
writing,
Yes, it depends on
everything.
the
Yeah.
ending, but everything else, one, two, three, all the choices mattered.
Yeah.
And then EA takes over, and then we get Mass Effect Andromeda. Now and I played Andromeda. I couldn't finish it. Like I finished the game when it first came up, but I tried to play it again just to, see if I could.
Refresh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't finish that game. There was something about it that just, I don't know, was irking me in the wrong way. Like I was
Well,
playing Mass Effect. I was playing, I don't know what I was playing.
well, the thing is with Andromeda is I looked at it like, okay, it is a Mass Effect game, hypothetically,
Mhm.
but I looked at it more as not a continuation, but like a separate entity.
It is a separate, but it just
Right.
didn't feel like, a Mass Effect game.
Maybe, I don't know. I kind of felt like it did, just in different variations.
Okay.
Because one of the things I loved about the story was the character you play, which is named after me, by the way, Scott. I had to point that out. But the thing I loved about the game is you are this creative character, and you're gone now up into
Pathfinder.
the Pathfinder. You're up in the Andromeda Galaxy now, and you have to make a home. You can't go back home. You can't go back to Earth. You can't go back to the Milky Way galaxy. You're stuck here. I love that premise because there's your dad, and he dies, and he passes on this Pathfinder abilities to you, and you're kind of stuck. You have to make decisions, and you're a very rookie. Like, you're young, you have no experience at all, and somehow you got to lead these people that have traveled all this way to make them a home. I love the premise of it. Some of the characters are, I don't know. Cora was not bad. PB and
Screwed
just
up in the head, yeah.
yeah. I love the Krogan. I forgot his name. Drax.
Drax.
The one thing that I really wasn't too thrilled about was that there was no Canary, or there was not Canary. I'm in Dragon Age mode. Sorry,
I
there
was
was
about
no
to say the wrong game.
there was no Turians, or no, there was Turians. Sorry, what am I
There is
thinking of?
Turian.
The one I'm thinking of. The one was Tally. Which one was Tally? Not. Anyways, the character that was Tally Zora in the Mass Effect games, nothing in there. There was a bunch of races that should have been in Andromeda that were not in there. I did not like the flying like planet. You just go here, kind of zooms in, zooms in. I would have loved more of like a space sort of fly through the galaxies like they did with Mass Effect 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good game? Again, it's sort of like a 7 out of 10 for me. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's bad. It could have been better. Could have been a lot worse.
See, I give it a 6.
Okay.
Uh, like you said, you touched on some good. Yes, the story, the premises was good. It's just that if it certain points felt like it was just trying to copy from Mass Effect, 2 and
Yeah.
3. It felt like
Yeah.
they were really trying to copy certain scenes and concepts, and it just like the originality wasn't there. And the
Yeah.
part that they did try to make original, like the rookie part, they couldn't build up on it as much.
Well, the other thing is too is with Andromeda was the fact that it was made by the Montreal group, and the Montreal group was a very smaller group compared to the Edmonton office, so they were very inexperienced. Now, the Edmonton office was focusing a lot more on Anthem, because Anthem
The
was such a
best game ever made.
Anthem was like, that was their biggest game that was going to come out after Mass Effect. They were done with Mass Effect after Andromeda, and they were going to focus on Anthem, this looter shooter. And boy, did that! I played.
I think that was the game. That was the game.
That came close. Like, if you were going to kill a company, that was the company. That was the game that was going to do it. Because boy, did it come close. Like, how close was it? I don't even know, but it came incredibly close to closing BioWare down. Because not only did people want refunds, and they got refunds, BioWare just said, the hell with it, we're done with it. And didn't even, like, they were working on Anthem 2.0, and they just scrapped that altogether. It's like, nope, we're done. like we're finished. We don't want to. We're not dealing with this anymore. And it's like Jesus. And then they ended up working on Dragon Age, on Veilguard, and yeah, that if you're gonna kill a company, that was the game that was gonna kill BioWare. There ain't no way. In my opinion, there ain't no way Veilguard is gonna kill
No, not at
BioWare.
all.
Not
Not
a
at all.
chance.
But
No.
see,
It's like
now the question comes, what we're asking about is there is Mass Effect 5 coming up.
yes,
We don't know when, but it's in works again.
yeah.
Apparently, it went quiet for some time, and now, there's
Well, I think
noise
it went
again.
quiet because Dragon Age. They're working on Dragon Age.
Yeah, it could be, definitely. I mean, look,
Yeah,
we don't know the story, but what I mean is it's now coming, hopefully in
yeah,
the next 2-3 years.
yeah. Hopefully.
What
Now,
is
I
your
guess.
opinion? Do you think, I mean, if we were to make a prediction right now, and I
Hmm.
want everyone who's listening and or viewing to, make a prediction. What do you think? Is the game gonna live up? Is it gonna be a success, or is it gonna be the one that kills the whole Mass Effect series, like a vis-a-vis Saints Row reboot?
You see, and this is where it's hard to determine because with Dragon Age, you each had different protagonists, different characters, different settings, different locations, da da da. Da. With Mass Effect, not so much, except for Andromeda. With Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, it was the same characters, the same protagonists, the same kind of story. It was all about the Reapers. What are you going to do for this particular story in Mass Effect 5, first off? Like, who's going to be that big bad? Are we actually going to fight Shepard? It's like,
Well,
I
there's some
wouldn't.
people said that there's rumors that Shepard's coming back.
Okay, so that's one thing. Now, the thing is Shepard coming back as main character, side character? We don't really know. I heard those rumors too. But the thing is, what are you going to do with the story? That's the big thing because the story wrapped up in a nice little bow and in the trilogy, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Citadel DLC really wrapped it up, and I was fine with it.
Hmm.
Andromeda is a whole brand new game from start to finish. There's no way I don't think they can transport the Pathfinder all the way back to. But apparently they're gonna figure out some way to. I don't know. I can't really make a judgment call on this because I don't know if it's gonna do well. I don't know if it's gonna flop. I'm kind of curious on the story they're gonna go with. All we've really seen so far is Liara walking around in the snow.
Yeah, I know it's a very, but no, but
Like,
what I want you to do predict on is, in your opinion, even though you have no idea what the story is going to be. Keep in
yeah.
mind, it's just a prediction. In your opinion, do you think this game is going to succeed, or is this going to kill the series? And I'm comparing this to Saints Row, like the reboot
Okay.
that killed the whole series.
Um, I would think, I would like to believe this is going to be is going to really keep Bioware going and is going to be one of the best games around, like for
Okay.
Mass Effect.
Okay.
But the problem is that there's a lot of hurt Bioware fans out there who absolutely were Dragon Age fans, who absolutely hated Veilguard, and now they swore off Dragon Age and Bioware games altogether. So I want to say that Mass Effect 5 coming out, I'm hoping it's going to be great. I'm hoping it's going to be fantastic, especially if Shepard and other characters show up. I'm hoping it's going to do well.
Hmm.
But with a lot of these people who have never played Dragon Age games, because you can easily tell they've never played a Dragon Age game in their life, and then bashing Veilguard as well, I
Hmm.
think BioWare stock is going down, and that's going to hurt Mass Effect, unfortunately. I don't want it to, but
That's a really, really good insight. I mean, that's a valid point. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what are your opinions, and anyone that's listening to us on Spotify, you know what? Think about this question. What do you think? Do you think that they're gonna pull it through, make a grand slam of a game, or are they just gonna fall down?
what do you think? I'm going to ask you.
I honestly think that it's gonna be a success.
You think? Okay.
I think it's gonna be a success. I
I
want to
think
I want to
so.
be positive in this one.
Yeah, so do
It's gonna be a success. It's just that if it isn't, I get a lot more to rant about.
I. Well, BioWare and EA. I mean, we always have time to rant about EA, especially Our friends over there in EA, man,
Exactly. But that's us for
that's
this week.
actually one thing I was actually surprised about, honestly. With Dragon Age Veilguard, we did not get loot boxes. I was surprised by no microtransaction in that game. I really was.
You never know. There might be coming an update, and
Yeah, I
once you
might have
download
just
that update, it says, "Yeah, please insert your credit card to start playing."
I might have just screwed everybody over now. Sorry. But thank you all so much. If you're listening, thank you for joining us on our first ever podcast here at Spotify. If you are checking us out on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channels. Definitely check us out in December. We got a lot more podcasting coming up. We got a lot of top 5 videos for me, obviously. We got top 5 games of the year, top 5 worst games of the year. Or I shouldn't say worst because that's not fair. Top 5 games I hated for this year.
We also got a travel to Hong Kong with Bunny coming up video very soon,
Take a look at
end of
that.
December.
Don't forget, Video Game Awards is actually coming up on December 12th. I believe I don't know what time it is over there. Possibly about 7 o'clock here, though, in the evening. So definitely, I'm going to be live streaming that, so definitely check that out. There's a lot coming up in December. We got a lot of great stuff coming next year as well.
Yep.
We got more reviews coming, obviously. We got more trailers showing up. Hey, I want to talk with you about one thing, man. I was surprised by this, actually. Just changing the subject entirely. I came across a heavy metal Indian band on TikTok, and I was like, I gotta play this. I might play it for you after. But man, I was really surprised by it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I gotta play this for you. But
Well, tell
definitely,
you what, for ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reviewing this heavy metal band that Nun's talking about. That'll be our next video. So
cool.
stay tuned for that. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another video with more crazy chants, rants, and bants. Until then, you got the ever amazing Nun and the ever doesn't give a crap Bunny. And thank you for staying, with us throughout this. And we look forward to welcoming you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, follow the X.
Take care.